So, Pikmin. Let me just say, I absolutely love this series. I mean, most of my videos are on it, a lot of my live streams are on it, and if you ask me what I think the greatest game of all time is, I'll tell you it's Super Paper Mario on the Wii. But Pikmin 3 is right behind it at second place. Anyway, let's get back on track. Pikmin 4. I love it. I mean, it was the great return of Pikmin. We don't talk about you! This game was finally some more Pikmin. It sold like crazy for a Pikmin game and introduced so many new people to the series, so this game will always have a special place in my heart for that reason. I mean, it put one of my favorite franchises of all time in the spotlight for, well, the first time ever. But even though it has all these great characteristics, I still think this is easily the worst Pikmin game by a long shot. Did I think this before? Hell no, did you play the game on launch? Like, man, this was great. Keep in mind, I said worst in the series. Not bad, because trust me, this game is still absolutely phenomenal and I love it. Just not as much as the other games. Okay, that's enough talking. So without further ado, I present to you my video on why I think Pikmin 4 is the worst in the series. Okay, let me just get this out of the way, and I know I already said it, but still. I love this game. I have a lot of criticism, so it's going to sound like I don't like it. But trust me, I certainly do. And also, this is my opinion. It's fine if you disagree with me, and in fact, I expect most, if not all of you, to do that. Like I always say, everyone has a right to an opinion, I just happen to have the best ones. Okay, you know the drill by this point. Let's get started with some backstory. Okay, so the year is 2022. Pikmin 3 was the latest Pikmin game besides Hey Pikmin or Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which Hey Pikmin doesn't really count because and Pikmin 3 Deluxe is just a port with some added bonuses here and there. Go watch my video on Hey Pikmin, by the way. It should be popping up in the corner right now. Anyway, let's just say Pikmin 3. While it still certainly was a phenomenal game and was a joy to play, it was getting a little stale. I mean, that's a whole decade of just the same game. Where have I seen this before? Anyway, Pikmin fans were restless. We were teased with a Pikmin 4 that actually was just Hey Pikmin, and let's just say, most, including myself, didn't think that the game would ever truly happen. That is until one seemingly normal day changed absolutely everything. September 13th rolled around with the Nintendo Direct in tow. In this point in time, Nintendo Directs were kind of on a downhill, so let's just say expectations weren't very high. Sure, we all still had hopes for a game like Metroid Prime 4 and a new Mario and Luigi game, but most Pikmin fans, including myself, had long since lost hope for a new Pikmin game. So, we tune into the Direct, and what do we see? Oh my god. It happened. They actually did it. A new Pikmin game was finally on the way, and it looked fantastic. We saw these huge open areas, a brand new camera angle, and a freaking dog. The fans were quick to scream about this online. I mean, the whole world knew what Pikmin 4 was, even if they hadn't ever heard of Pikmin before. Man, what a great day to look back on. Sure, at the time it was still a little ways away, but we had already been waiting so long we could hold out another year. Anyway, to sum it all up, the real fourth Pikmin game was finally on its way, and people were beyond hype. Okay, now let's get on to the game itself. Okay, the game. Like I said before, it's great. Many call it phenomenal. Some even say it's the greatest game ever made. Now, I can't say I agree with that, but I certainly can see where they're coming from. Anyway, let's go over the main sort of path you will take if you were to play this game. Okay, so you start off as Olimar in what appears to be an alternate universe version of Pikmin 1. Man, we got the Pikmin multiverse before Prime 4. Anyway, that's right, this game completely ignores the true ending of Pikmin 1, the neutral ending of Pikmin 1, and every other game. Okay, it hasn't been confirmed that every other game didn't happen in this universe, but if the first game ended differently, I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that the rest of the games turn out differently as well. Okay, let's get back on track. Instead, this game chooses to follow a different sort of version of the bad ending from Pikmin 1. You get all of your ship parts, but you find out Olimar's dog, Moss, had snuck on board and starts basically having a seizure. Keep this in mind, it'll be important later. Anyway, Olimar has no choice but to turn around to save Moss and, well, you die, and just become another part of this brutal planet that we have become so familiar with. Pretty depressing, I know. It turns out, however, that Olimar had sent out an SOS before he perished. So that leads us to our new protagonist, the Rescue Corps. Actually, that leads us to our new protagonist, you, the player, otherwise known as the Rescue Corps Rookie. That's right, for the first time ever in a Pikmin game, you get to make your own character. Now, I have a very strong opinion on this, but now isn't the time. So, you make your character, somehow manage to successfully land your vessel, the SS Beagle, despite your lack of experience, and who do you stumble across but the best boy in the whole world, Ochi. Otherwise known as this game's biggest strength, and its biggest weakness. More on that later. So you eventually find Colin, otherwise known as the dude that just won't shut up. I mean, I like Colin and all, but this dude's big mouth single-handedly ruins the tutorial for me. He just goes on, and the whole time it's just, meh, just shut up already. Anyways, you find Shepard, the captain of the Rescue Corps, and finish the tutorial. Oh yeah, caves are back too, that's cool and all. Anyway, throughout the rest of the game, you will traverse some of the biggest, most expansive, and just most beautiful environments in any Pikmin game ever. I mean, look at this game. It's just gorgeous. Like, oh my god, they even got cherry blossoms. In these big areas, you will find what feels like hundreds of castaways. Like, oh my goodness, how many people wanted to come to this terrible planet, and why can't any of them do what we so easily did in the beginning? Land the goddamn ship. Oh yeah, you also find the rest of the Rescue Corps, but all they really do is advance the story a little bit, open up an upgrade system, slightly more of the map, and semi-optional night missions. Okay, after doing all this, you will finally rescue the man you came here for. Ali... Mar? Oh, okay. So, you know this guy you've been following throughout the whole game? Yeah, like the head leafling? Oh, huh? I didn't tell you about leaflings? Oh, remember when I said when you die, you become part of the planet? Yup, if you die on this planet, you become a Dandori-obsessed freak. You grow hair all over and a leaf out your head. Now, the leaflings are really important for the game's story. They teach you the art of Dandori, or doing things with efficiency. They hold these little challenges where you're given a set amount of Pikmin, a set amount of time, and a set amount of items to collect. They're also the main reason for night missions, which are a completely different beast. They plop you down by this thing called a luminol, which is inhabited by glow Pikmin, and you use these new glow Pikmin to defend the luminols until morning, so they produce a glow sap, which cures leaflings. Oh my god, they're a lot. Okay, anyway, this guy, yeah, he's Olimar. And guess what? Once you outdory him for the final time, you bring him home and everyone is happy, and wait, oh my god, Ochi's pulling a moss! Yeah, remember when I told you that would be important? Yeah. So, you go back to PNF 404 to save Ochi. It turns out, this happens to creatures that have become accustomed to the planet's atmosphere and sprout leaves. Anyway, there's even more game. Yup, this time we focus on our great friend Louie. Yup, This little annoying piece of dirt has befriended Moss and is now actively trying to work against us by trying to turn these people that we are trying to rescue into leaflings, but he's bad at his job, so nothing happens, so it's fine, I forgive him. Anyway, Louie gets fed up with us and befriends a big doggy. Aw, he's so cute. Okay, Ancient Sirehound, whoopee, fun boss fight. Yup, more on this later. Dear Lord, I'm so tired of talking about this game. Okay, you fight this absolute behemoth and then the day is saved and happy ending for everybody. Whoopee, and that's the game. That was a very condensed version of the game, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do a very good job of explaining it, but this is my 7th script revision, and I don't feel like working on this anymore. Okay, that was the game. Now let's talk about what I like about it. Okay, first things first. Holy moly, this game is long. For a Pikmin game, that is. I mean, it takes a while to fully 100%. I was used to Pikmin games taking a couple of hours at most. I mean, even Pikmin 2 doesn't take incredibly long to 100%. But this game has so much content packed in. If you play this game at a normal pace, that being about an hour or 2 each day, you will be playing for days before even completing the first half of the game. This is a double-edged sword, though. I mean, it has some serious downsides that I will talk about later. But for now, just know that the length of this game was seriously refreshing and really made it feel worth its $60 price tag. Okay, next. I really enjoy the fact that the night missions are a thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the night missions themselves, but the mere concept and fact that they are finally included in a Pikmin game is nothing short of amazing. I don't want to get into them super deep here, but the fact that you can play during the nighttime in a Pikmin game, it's just great. They're even mostly optional, with only, I think, 2 or 3 required night missions, so you don't have to do most of them if you don't want to. Like I said before, it's great. Okay, next. The Pikmin feel really well balanced in this game. In every other game, there was a definitive best. Pikmin 1 had reds with their increased attack, 2 had purples with their insane damage and stun, 3 had rocks with their insane damage and immunity to crushing attacks, and wings with their ability to fly over pretty much everything. And in this game, sure, you have glow Pikmin, which are immune to almost every hazard, and have a stun ability, but they can only be used in the main game while you're in a cave, and even then, you have an extremely limited amount of them. You also have Ice Pikmin, which easily freeze almost anything, but if you do freeze an enemy and kill it, you won't get its corpse, which can be detrimental in the early game. They also really deal a lot less damage. I mean, the difference is night and day. Every Pikmin type feels like it is viable. Not a single type feels incredibly overpowered or incredibly underpowered. Sure, Pinks are a little weak compared to their Pikmin 3 counterparts, but come on, Pikmin 3 wings were game-breaking. Okay, next up, the game looks great. Enough said. Then, we have the Ancient Sirehound, and man, what a boss! This is easily one of the best bosses in any Pikmin game ever. I mean, it's challenging at first for a Pikmin game at least. It's scary and dark, which is unusual for a Pikmin game, and man, the music is banging. Just give it a listen real quick. This boss is by far the most memorable part of the game, and man, it is by far one of the best parts of this game. Okay, and finally, I love the little Dandori trials spread throughout the game. This includes the Sage Leaf trials, by the way. It's just so fun to go back and optimize your runs. This is Pikmin, going through an unknown area full of dangerous creatures while you gather treasure as fast as you possibly can. Man, what a treat these are. Except for you. I hate this one. Okay, that finishes up what I like. Well, actually, the game runs quite well as well. Okay, that's actually everything that stood out to me as great. Keep in mind, this isn't just everything that I slightly enjoyed. This is just stuff that stood out to me as nothing but an improvement. Oh yeah, Oliver's Shipwreck Tale is good as well. Okay, let's move on to what I don't like. Oh boy, here we go. Where do I even begin? Okay, let's get the elephant in the room out the way. Auto lock on. It sucks. Correction. As a concept, it works, but it was implemented terribly. I do like the idea of an auto lock-on feature for people with accessibility issues that may not be able to do the manual lock-on of Pikmin 3, or may not be able to handle not having any lock-on at all like the first two games. But it should be just that, an accessibility feature that can be disabled. Yup, you heard me right. This cannot be disabled. It is mandatory. So, throughout the entire game, you have to deal with this terrible little pest always locking on at the wrong thing or locking on to just random things and being just incredibly uncomfortable and clunky. Nintendo, take a page from the first three games and use manual lock-on, or just add the option to get rid of lock-on entirely. And another thing I think this would have been great for is multiplayer. I know when I played Pikmin 3 Deluxe's multiplayer with my mother, it took her years to get the hand of the manual lock-on. So, yeah, I could see this working for that very specific situation. Oh no, oh god, this is the multiplayer? Yup, that's right. My next point is the multiplayer. I have always thought that every Pikmin game after Pikmin 1 would work amazing for multiplayer couch co-op. The battle modes proved this even further in my opinion. And guess what? We finally got it in Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and man, it was great. And look what we got in Pikmin 4. It's Super Mario Galaxy 2 all over again. The second player is just this little cursor on the screen that throws things, man, what a letdown. The multiplayer was just beyond disappointing, and I was just beyond disappointed when I realized couch co-op might never truly come back to Pikmin. I don't have much to say about the multiplayer, just understand it is by far where this game disappoints me the most because of how much I cherish multiplayer in video games. Man, I was really looking forward to another multiplayer Pikmin game. Okay, let's get off of that. Next up, this just doesn't feel very Pikmin-y like the other mainline games do. I spent a long time trying to discover why I felt this way, and, well, I finally think I have an answer. This game is just too big and too long. That's right, this game's biggest strength is also one of, if not its biggest weakness. So, why does this game being so long and expansive hurt it? Well, I'll tell you. At its core, Pikmin has always been a game about time and resource management. The first and the third game really emphasized this with the 30-day time limit and the fact that the Kobites will starve if you don't gather fruit and move quickly. Sure, Pikmin 2 was a little more lax when it came to this, but it still made attempts to speed you up with the letters from the president saying how he was being hunted and the need to bring Louie home in the postgame. What does this game have to urge you along? That's right, absolutely nothing. There is just no need for time management of any kind outside of the Dandori trials in this game. Like, come on, that's part of what made Pikmin Pikmin. It was a bite-sized adventure that you could constantly return to, slowly improving your Dandori each time. You just feel absolutely zero incentive to go fast because there is nothing to cause a sense of urgency. Sure, there are castaways in Olimar, but they all have already either become leaflings or are completely passed out, so it's too late to make you feel like you need to go fast. Even if there was something compelling you to go fast, it would be almost impossible because of how absolutely gargantuan every area is. It just doesn't feel like Pikmin. Not to mention, you really barely even need to use Pikmin because of Ochi. More on him later. How are you going to make a Pikmin game where Pikmin, the game's namesake, is literally underused? Sorry, I just can't understand how Nintendo made this happen. Let's see what I haven't mentioned yet. Oh yeah, this game feels like it got all of its creativity sucked out of it. This can be seen throughout the whole game, but where I feel like it's most obvious is the menus, or really anywhere that has text on screen. Okay, so look at this, right? The normal Pikmin text. It's bubbly, it's alien, it's mysterious, it's fun, and most of all, it's unique and creative. Now, look at this. It's blocky, it's modern, it looks the same as everything else that wants to look modern or futuristic. And above all else, it's boring. This can be seen throughout most of the game, with everything just looking a little more boring and less fun. Again, it just doesn't feel very Pikmin-y. Okay, and finally, what you've all been waiting for. Oh wait, actually, speed round of everything that wasn't a very big problem, but just minor inconveniences. Okay, the camera angle wasn't my favorite, and the camera itself felt kind of janky at times. I'm not a fan of the new backpack system. I like the way Pikmin 3 handled things much more. A good chunk of Russ's inventions feel incredibly underused. If you're throwing Pikmin on an object, it stops you from throwing more than the required amount, which is kind of annoying sometimes. I'm not a very big fan of how you build things in the game using raw materials. Night missions get really repetitive really fast, and I think some of the caves drag on just a little too long. And finally, this whole game just drags on a little bit too much during the post-game. Okay, now, finally, what you've all been waiting for. This game's difficulty is basically non-existent. This is for many reasons, of course, but the biggest is your boy Ochi. He can just do literally everything that Pikmin can do, but better. He can do anything. He can kill many enemies in just one hit, and he just makes the game way too easy. Pikmin 3, in my opinion, striked the perfect difficulty for a Pikmin game, in my opinion. And this game just saw that and was like, hey, what if we make it even easier? In an attempt to make Pikmin more casual friendly, for some reason, they absolutely killed any joy players may have gotten from just the game being slightly more difficult. Okay, that was a lot. Let's move on to my final thoughts. Okay, I know that last segment was kind of negative, but don't fret. I still absolutely adore this game. It is Pikmin after all, and I mean, how could I dislike Pikmin? This game was incredibly innovative, and on my first couple of playthroughs, was extremely enjoyable. It does, however, fail in many departments. It's just not very replayable, which I think is what kills it the most compared to any other Pikmin game. So, anyway, now you know why Pikmin 4 is, in my opinion, the worst one. Okay, well, I guess this is the end. Thanks for sticking around this long because, man, this one was a doozy to make. And hey, since you're still here, why not join the new-ish Discord server linked in the description? It's a lot of fun and, hey, I put a lot of effort into it. Okay, that's all from me for now. Goodbye, and I hope to see you next time.